Hi there! Welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in the studio, and I'm going to do a fun little project that I've been kind of ruminating on for a little while, and I want to do another houseplant trio where these three plants are all in one container together for just a little while. Not, it's not a long-term solution, especially with this red prince philodendron, which can get huge. But right now it could just be like really fun to have an interesting combination of plants going on. So I like to do this when there's a space where I want a lot of different texture and plants, but I don't have a lot of space for multiple, like a collection of pots, right? So if I put all the plants in one pot and just let them be like really beautiful and architecturally fun like that, I think that's like ideal. So what I have here is the outer decorative container. I have another pot to put these plants in. I've got a drip tray, and I've used some styrofoam in the bottom of this container to put the drip tray on so that this container sits just below the rim of the decorative container. And then we can put some packing material around it to make sure it's stabilized. But that's essentially what's going on here. This container has been sitting outside for years. If I remember correctly, this is a container that actually came with our garden, with our house. And so it's definitely not my style, but it's here and I can utilize it in this way. So I've got some fresh soil, as this is just potting soil with perlite mixed in, and that is it. This particular potting soil that I picked up has a slow release fertilizer of some sort in it, which I don't typically buy potting soil with fertilizer in it, but this time of year it's just super hard to get a hold of potting soil. So anyhow, I have this aglomeria, and it these were cuttings, and then you can see that these cuttings, I don't know if you could tell from here, I'm going to take them out of their containers so I can show you better. So these cuttings now have little baby sprouts, if you can see those right here. So I want to be really careful and not break the sprouts. But it's taken, and they've got roots, they've got sprouts, but it has taken a little over a year for these guys to do that. So I've been kind of tired of this sort of empty pot. And it's definitely too much soil for these little tiny plants. I think I planted it like I know I did it last winter, but I can't remember if it was like closer to spring or closer to Christmas. But anyway, I know that this soil is still just fine, so I'm going to add it into here, just as if the roots were all rooted in. We'd still be utilizing this soil. And this way I can give all these plants a quick shot of fertilizer, because their roots won't be down where the new soil, where the slow release fertilizer is. And then by the time the roots do get there, they'll be able to use that soil. All right. So might have to take a little bit of this out once we get to some of the bigger plants, but really close to perfect here. Sweet. So now we've just got a pot full of soil. Awesome. And I'm gonna actually put these guys in. There's 4 of them. I want to play with the idea first before we commit to anything. So the other plant that I have, this is a pothos. These were all cuttings from one of the mother plants that we have. And it's just, it just needs new soil because it has also been in here for close to a year, and it's all rooted in. And pothos tend to eat their soil, so you might notice that this soil is a couple of inches below the rim of the plant, of the pot, and that's because it just, these plants will just kind of eat up that soil. So I've got lots of little baby plants. I'm making a huge mess. I'm going to keep them together, essentially. And then I want to have them sort of drape around the container. So we're going to put, I'd like to have 3, I think I could do 3, like this. So we're just going to pop these in to the edge, and I'm kind of putting them at a little bit of an angle, but mostly it was just bare root, so I don't have to do that much. So we've got that one. Just going to separate these, and there's 3 little plants here. So, I mean, essentially, I could, you know, put them all in separate little containers, but that's not the purpose of this project. So, much like I would do in an outdoor container where I would just have like a little trio hanging over in 3 spots of the container. All right, so then we've got 2 plants here. One is hanging pretty well, one is not, and it looks like this one may have been, oh, I don't know, it's kind of funky. I might cut that shorter and put it back into the pot. Okay, I just want to make sure that there's soil all the way around the roots, on the inside of the lip and in the middle. I found this one to be very interesting. Look at, it's white. How is it white? Never seen such a thing. And because I think it's so interesting, I'm gonna plant it, and I may as well just plant it in. So I might plant it in a separate container and just watch and see what it does. I don't know if it's because it is lacking nutrients or what the deal is. I just think it's really fascinating. So I'm gonna get some fresh soil for this guy and put it in a little container somewhere. All right, so then I have this red prince, and I don't anticipate it being super rooted in. It's got a fairly good root system on it though, which is cool. So I'm just gonna take this root system, I'm gonna put it in the middle of this container. This way you can see the middle. like right in the middle, I'm gonna put her. And I'm gonna try to get this cane, even though it's curving, I'm gonna plant it so that this cane is right in the middle of the pot. And then just make sure that the soil is all around it. Oh, that's exciting. Okay. And now, last but not least, I am going to plant these guys. And I think I want to do is plant a trio of them, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put the two little sprouts. One will be on its own. One will be, well, actually, I think I'm just gonna like try to keep them a little bit separated, but not, like on their own. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this here. Okay. And then I'm gonna put one with leaves. This one's pretty yellow, so I'm going to take that off. And this one has some damage, so I'm going to take that off. And then all of this is roots, so I want to make sure all of the roots are underneath the soil. Okay, that's fun. And then I'm gonna put this one, well, let's see. Let's put this one that's sprouted in this area that has a lot of leaf canopy already, just so it's not quite as obvious that there's no leaves on it right away. So we're just gonna do that. And then that just kind of covers that up. And then we have this area, and the philodendron doesn't have any leaves coming this way yet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this egg right here. Right. Every time I do this, I tend to have one plant that gets mad and doesn't want to live with other plants. So I don't anticipate every single one of these to survive, but I do think that there will be a pretty good chance. They all want similar growing and light habitats. Okay, so I'm gonna plant this guy. I'm gonna plant this little guy in where the philodendron was, because that soil is fairly new. And then we'll just watch it and see what happens. I think it'll be interesting to observe if it colors up, if it just up and dies, like what is it gonna do? Yeah. But, and then of course we'll water it in as soon as I have a drip tray for it. Okay. Just use this little drip tray. It's got some rock in it. Okay. It won't be its permanent home, but I just want to see. I just want to experiment and see what happens. All right, we're just going to set that off to the side. And then I've got this cute gargoyle. Maybe they can just live together. All right, well, now what I really want to do is get this container in the larger container. And get it all staged. So as you know, there's styrofoam and there's a drip tray. And so then we're just gonna put this guy in here. Make sure all of the philodendron, all of the pothos is hanging over the side and not tucked underneath there anywhere. And because I don't want it to tip around, I'm just gonna put some packing material around the outside of the container, in between the decorative container and the potted up container. It's too thick, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right, so that is looking pretty fantastic. I am just double checking that there's soil tapped down around all of these roots. They're all standing up nice and straight. Okay, so there it is. Really fun. That's a lot of texture and color, and just, it's just like a really fun combination of things. So as the red prince gets older, the leaves they'll get huge. They get a little bit more textured. The stems are like a dark maroon red, and they definitely have like a similar shape as the pothos, but certainly darker. And then the eggs have a variation on their color. So super, super cool. All right. The last thing that I want to do is add some moss around the edge, just to give it a little decorative pop. Oops. Okay. Oops. All right, now that she's got a little decorative moss, she's got all kinds of texture, she's a big full plant again, I'm gonna water all of these in. The really fun thing with this planter is everybody has roots. There's no like unrooted cuttings in here. So the chance of survival is so much greater than if I just popped a bunch of stem cuttings and everything. So very, very cool. I don't actually know where I want to put this. I think I do. I think it's actually going to go right next to my space here, but yeah, I don't know. All I know is I've been wanting to do another combo plant for a while, and I love it. It's super fun. So just remember, if you want to try this, make sure that all the plants that you put in one container together are plants that can live together. So they all want bright indirect light. They all want to be deeply watered and dried out on the top. And they're all very, very tolerant of neglect. All of them. So that's super awesome. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you were inspired to try something interesting, and I hope that you're celebrating your life, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Well, at least for now, it's gonna be right there underneath this grow light, and we'll see. I mean, I'm sure once it gets really big, I'm not gonna be able to walk through here. So it's not going to be able to stay there forever. But it'll be there long enough for me to enjoy it and watch it fill in and grow up. So just to give you a little close-up on the different foliage and leaf structure, the different colors, and the egg with the stripes. Oh, I'm so excited. Just as a reminder, this is what the philodendron will grow up to be. So these are cuttings that I'm growing in some water. And this is the average leaf size and color of her stem. So it'll be really fun to see that different texture once they're all relatively the size that they grow up to be, rather than, you know, all babies together.